Okay, I'm going to stick with this image. It's kind of nice to look at as I talk. And I chose it initially as I was quickly looking for some reference material. Picture speaks a million words. And, I think if you added a wolf or two to my side and a beautiful companion, you'd paint a picture, regardless if that was a canyon, a desert, a mountaintop, or a city street, as to kind of how I've lived my life. Like I've definitely been connected to my surroundings and my community, no matter where I've lived. My resume speaks to that. I get involved. I join boards of directors. I start businesses. I am involved in friendship circles that make a difference. But I'm also um, very independent. I enjoy my free time. I enjoy my alone time. And as I mentioned before, um, for the better part of 20 plus years, I've always had at least one, two, or more wolves with me. I've had my hand in raising over 40, from the original matriarch I had many, many, many moons ago, and her offspring, and so on and so forth. So it's been like just a tremendous connection to nature and just sort of the ancient spirit world in many ways. And they're obviously beautiful companions. And they've kept a lot of my friends and I and family together because a lot of them have them, and so we are a pack in and of ourselves. Um, but another kind of link to this image here, is that often when I'm going on the in between journey, Syracuse to California, California to Ithaca, Ithaca to Belize, Belize to back to Western New York to Vermont, little stays here and there, short stays in New York City, Denver, actually out in um, north of that area, sort of Loveland area, Arapahoe Basin, Keystone Resort. Um, it's the towns nobody really knows, but the Copper Mountain, Breckenridge, that area. I worked and lived out on the top of 12,000 feet, and it was phenomenal. And so the trip to Madrid and so on and so forth. But the in between, I'm usually by myself, and and it's there's moments where you have to kind of really connect with what your journey is all about. And as you've learned, going back to my original video or two, I didn't really have very much to draw from in terms of family funds. There was most definitely family assistance along the way, which I'm forever grateful for, but not in maybe the same way some people have experienced it. So I've often had to kind of just really start from scratch and build myself back up. And often that means taking jobs and doing things that I don't necessarily want to do, but always have something on the side burner that is leading me towards uh, what I truly want to do, however, I want to be applying myself. So, that said, I've also had a few experiences along the way that, let's just say, and this is difficult to speak about, which I rarely do, and it's also kind of like for me as an observer, not so easy to comprehend and make sense of. So, along the way when you're a child, and we know about the indigo children, we know about the star children, we know about sort of these waves and the millennials, and I'm considered Gen X. Again, was a child of the '70s, kind of a young adult in the '80s, coming into my adulthood in the '90s and early 2000s. So and not having a father, and having sort of a unique child experience with my education and being creative and artistic and so on and so forth, that I was often labeled as special or different or unique. And, I never really fit well with me. I didn't know what that really meant. And I didn't necessarily take it as, I guess, per se, like a opportunity to leverage my specialness, because I couldn't go to the store and get a new pair of Jordans with it. I couldn't fix up my BMX with it. I couldn't do material things with it, I guess is what I'm saying. I couldn't translate whatever that specialness is, as a young person, into anything tangible. So it was confusing to me. So, um, having the experience out in California and doing yoga and Buddhist meditation and working very diligently in the publishing facility for Dharma Publishing and being around monks and people, doing their inner work was again, one of those experiences that helped me kind of find my deeper purpose. Living in the jungles of Central America surely did. And of course, a lot of the experiences I had and have described in the past, which include great success as well as sometimes heartbreak and or real or perceived failure, and so there's a lot of sort of again the glass shatters on something that you think is solid, and you kind of have to pick up the pieces and figure it out all over again. But you've learned, you've realized that you need a double pane glass because of where you are, or whatever that lesson is. You kind of have to go back at it with a new perspective. So um, back to the again, the kind of quirky, weird element here that I'm trying to express is that there's been experiences randomly in my life, usually when in presence of a psychic or a medium or a channel or somebody who could read energy or auras or palms, that have said things in essence of uh, in awe of how old my soul is, or how I should be giving them a reading, or just reinforcing something about the entity, I guess, the energy that embodies my skin bag, my this bone and this bone body, and just kind of looking at me and giving me that like eye to eye look, saying like, dude, you got something in there that you might need to figure out, don't waste it, kind of thing. So that's always been another like, WTF, what's that all about? So um, I'm gonna again maybe make this a tri-part series. I want to keep these videos kind of short, only to give people a chance to kind of digest and stuff, but and also to keep them so I can post them to YouTube and what have you. And so I'm going to tell the next story. I'll lead it up because I think I can do a few more minutes on this one. Is that I had two experiences in particular that have stood out in my life that happened, one in Syracuse many years ago and one in southern Vermont in Brattleboro, where I was living not too long ago, and both by very well respected and world renowned spirit channel mediums. Basically, they, both of them in their own unique way, when I spoke with them, were able to just basically say what needed to be said by the voices, by angels, by spirits, by elders, by whatever entities are channeling through them. And so it's not they don't read anything, they're not perceiving anything, they're not giving me some sort of allegory or anything like that. It quite literally is them saying words that are being directed through them by something else. So on that note, I'll take a pause.